Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Referrals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, and I'm here with your host, Michael Maher, Michael J. Maher, Michael Maher.
Me.
Hello, sir.
Whoever. That guy.
The
guy next to me, right here.
As much as you use acronyms, I'm surprised you haven't turned your name into some kind of an acronym, like a teachable moment. Like,
are you ready for this?
Yes, go.
So, real estate, right? So my last name was misspelled often and misenunciated, pronounced a lot. Maher, Maher, Maher. And it's really Maher, and it's spelled incorrectly even more, and it's Maher, like making a home everyone's reality.
No, stop
Boom.
it. Of course you have mind blown. Of course you have an acronym for your name.
Everything.
That's amazing. That is an extra credit bonus for all of you listeners out there
That's
there.
Right. That's right. Don't use it. Don't use that acronym though, unless your last name's Maher. It won't work for you, right? A lot of these all these other strategies, I tell you, they will work for you. That one, unless your name's Maher, will not work for you, right? I mean, you don't want to go, this is Chris Angel. I'm with Groundswell. I do podcasts, and I want you to know that you can always remember how my last name's spelled by making a home everyone's reality. So it does not. That just doesn't work.
Oh my gosh. Anything can be made. I actually got teary on that one. It's so funny. Anything can be made into an acronym, people. All right. Well, listen, we are talking about the information zone, which is great because it's in your book and most of your time is spent talking about the influential zone.
That's right.
But at the bottom half, there's an entire half of that communication pyramid dedicated to the information zone. And I thought in this day of social media and all the other stuff, why is it in the book? Why is it even there?
Yeah.
And what are some of the outlets for that? So you, sir.
Yeah. So right to it, right? So the communication pyramid, we have the 3 to 4 levels on the bottom, which we call the informational zone. I did not have the middle level handwritten notes in the informational zone forever because it really is more powerful than the lower 3 for a lot of reasons. But we'll talk about all 4 of these levels. And so the levels of communication that a business can provide to their clientele and to the world are advertising at the bottom, direct mail is above that, and then you have electronic communication, which includes email, texting, internet communication, things like that. And then above that, you have handwritten notes, which is the middle zone, and it's a very powerful zone on its own. A lot of people don't even realize that handwritten notes are a form of communication, or they forget that it is. And I'm so glad that I included it as its own communication level because it's so powerful. Yeah. And then the top 3 levels are the influential zone, and we talk about that quite a bit. Phone calls, events and seminars, and then the top level is one-on-one meetings. And one-on-one meetings are where most sales occur. Most time you're sitting down across from someone to help them buy a house or to help somebody buy a car or whatever it may be. And people will disclose to you and they will say yes to you faster in a one-on-one environment than they would if even one other person was in the room with you. So that's why the one-on-one meetings are at the top. All of them have their advantages and all of them have their disadvantages. On the bottom, we have advertising, right? Yeah. And advertising is a form of communication. And, nowadays you've got Facebook advertising, you got Google advertising. People still do search engine optimization advertising, as well as people still do paper advertising. People still do billboards, and people still do magazines. They do other types of paper advertising. Well, why are they still doing it? Well, because it works. The problem is, and this is a quote from J.P. Sears of Sears fame, Sears store, is he said, I know that 50% of my advertising works. The problem is I don't know which 50%. And that's how advertising has been forever. And I have to tell you, my degrees and my MBAs in marketing and communication, and advertising has always been, I didn't like advertising. I don't like a shotgun approach. I don't like the throw it out and hope approach. I want data. I want trackable data. I want something I can analyze. I want to split test. I want to do all kinds of things. And advertising just really never filled the bill for me. Now, in advertising, it's typically, you hope it's less expensive to get to more people. But right. The fact is if it costs you anything and you get nothing, or you can't track anything, then did you really save anything, right? And right. The answer is you didn't. So I was always a fan of applying direct mail strategies to advertising. So when I advertise, I'm going to have a text for more information, or I'm going to have, the one place people make a mistake with advertising is they don't have a call to action, right? The thing about advertising is AIDA, right? You want to get their attention, you want to get their interest, you want to spark their desire, and then you want to take them to action, AIDA, right? That's been around since Ogilvy in the 1900s, right? And it's one of those where I think people do a pretty good job of attention getting, and pretty good. I also think in today's world, you've either got to do something stupid or ridiculous to stand out, or you've got to do something heroic to stand out. It's really hard to stand out in the informational zone in today's world because everybody is suffering from information overload.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it's hard to stand out. It's hard to get people's attention. But even with like Facebook advertising, you can get their attention. You might even get their interest, and you might even spark a desire all at the same time. But what I see so many times that's a problem is a lack of a call to action, yep. Right? And one big piece of advice in advertising is look for ways to stand out and differentiate that are better, right? So don't do something crazy stupid. Don't try to do something heroic. Do something that's better. So an example of that is when I was doing real estate full-time, had the business, working in the company, I would always look for it. My advertisements did not have a picture of the front of the house every time. Now, we have some where the home is majestic, looks great from above. Yeah. But we would always be looking. I mean, there were times, this is before, drones and things like that. We would be on ladders 20 feet up, taking right. The preferred angle, right, of the home. But some of the best ads I ever did were not pictures of the front of the home. Like one property that I had was a horse property. So I did not have a picture of the home. I had a picture of a horse, right? And the head of the horse. And the head of the horse, I mean, imagine this. You're looking at homes and you see, front of the home, front of the home, front of the home, front of the home, horse, front of the home, front of the home, right? And it's like the horse stood out. And not only did I do the picture of the horse, but the description was written by the horse. So the nice. Horse gave his perception nice. On how great it was to live at this house. Right. And here's the thing, some people, especially those that are horse lovers, I think horse lovers love horses more than they do people. Yeah. Right. So no offense to horse lovers, but it's one of those where we sold that property very, very quickly, even though it could have been a very difficult property to sell because it didn't get a lot of traffic. You're not going to sell it to a drive-by. It was out in the middle of nowhere. Right. So, we did condo buildings where we didn't take a picture of the condo. We took a picture of the facilities, right? We would take a picture of the theater and that would be the front picture. So we easily stood out among all the other real estate ads because we weren't a front of a house just like every other typical person. So look for a way to stand out. Here's the other thing on advertising is this is the power of events. I know we talk about event-based business all the time. Chris is probably tired of it,
I love it.
I mean, but it's like event-based business is everything. It's everything I teach. It's the center, it's the battle plan, it's the light, it's the way, it's event-based businesses, right? And so that's the power of an event-based business is you will look at advertising differently for the rest of your life. You will no longer do flyers. You will no longer do ads. You will no longer do trifolds or brochures. You won't do those. What you will do is invitations. The beauty of having an event-based business is you change all of your marketing from marketing to strangers, marketing collateral, and advertising to invitation to events, online events and offline events. It could be an invitation to a webinar or it's an invitation to a live event. Well, the beauty of that, when you think of your ad in terms of it being an invitation instead of a flyer, is you first and foremost, you remember the call to action, right? And that is you have an invitation and they have to RSVP or register. So, and it's like, you almost like common sense says you give them all the details and then you ask them to RSVP or register. So you automatically have an RSVP or a call to action.
Yeah.
And then everything else is to sell the first step. And that's the problem with advertising is too much of it is they try to sell you from the ad and nobody buys anything from the ad. The beauty of changing our language from flyer or marketing to invitation is that all you're doing with the invitation is attracting them a step. You're easing them into the relationship with you and your company instead of pounding them with a hammer. So the beauty here is no longer think in terms of flyers or brochures or just pictures, right? Think in terms of invitation, right? And the thing is with the invitation, there's a time, there's a who, what, where, when, how much, and how to RSVP. And and that's honestly, that's good advertising too.
Right.
So, so it all filtered. So I'm a believer in the invitation. So, and then on the direct mail, once again, direct mail is better than advertising because it's more targeted. It's a better use of your dollar. You can test it. You can split test it. You can quad test it. You can send out 4 colors of postcards and see which draws the best. You can do 4 different URLs on direct mail postcards, and direct mail can be mass handwritten mail. So, right. So it could be, I've gotten that. I don't know if you have, Chris, but there's an investor who wants to buy property in one of our neighborhoods we own properties in. And the front was handwritten, the inside, not handwritten. It was in a handwritten font. And then it was a letter, not a postcard. So direct mail, it's just a mass email to strangers. It's a mass mail piece to strangers. So the other nice thing about direct mail is the entire direct response marketing genre, the direct response marketing way of doing marketing came about because of direct mail. And I will tell you, so much of what we do is based off my experience with direct response marketing. Direct response marketing is that you don't just put something out there, you have them call a 1-800 number, or you have them email a certain email, or you have them go to a landing page, and it's like the call to action, right? And you get really good at, in a quick way, getting their attention, driving their interest, tweaking their desire, and getting them to take action. And the problem with direct mail, though, is that millennials hate it and don't read it, and there's a backlash to direct mail. Is that if you send too much of it, people think you're killing trees. You are killing trees, and that there's a big concern, kind of a, conserving the earth is a big deal, right? I mean, we have an Earth Day birthday event every year where we give people trees. We're a believer.
Yeah.
So, and then the second thing is that there's just such a low response rate with direct mail, right? It used to be, 2 to 5%, then it went to 1%. Now it's like 0.1% response rate for direct mail. It's just absolutely, you've got to send so much of it that it's almost cost prohibitive to send out the direct mail. Now,
okay, go ahead. Well, I just was thinking those are the bottom two things. We've got advertising and direct mail. And inside of those, you've given some here's direct response is great because you actually can split test it. You can attribute it to what worked, what didn't work. But I feel like you're also sort of saying and we don't really like to do that inside of 7L because of the way we do it. So I'm wondering, is there any relationship, is there any collaboration of those two areas for
100%, right? So invite to events becomes your advertising. So an example, you could have an all yap, right? That is for everyone. You're going to invite everyone. Do a Facebook ad, boost it, right?
Yep.
And you're going to invite people to your event through that Facebook ad, right? And the event could be educational or it could just be for fun, right? Direct mail, same way. I mean, we have many people within the 7L system. Tara Carter is going to be on in a future episode talking about housewarming. And at housewarming party, we strongly suggest that you send a direct mail piece, save the date card for your housewarming parties for sure. But many people send a save the date postcard, or we really recommend, a printed out invitation, trifold in a colored envelope and handwrite the front. That is direct mail if you really look at it. I mean, the handwritten note is really for people and it's very personalized, very customized.
For one person,
right? So the answer to this is 100%. And that's the beauty of the invitation, right? Is you can invite them through advertising, you can invite them through direct mail, and we highly suggest it. And with housewarming parties, it's really important because these are people that don't necessarily know you. And we'll talk more about that on the housewarming party episode. But it's a requirement in the system that you send a mail piece to the neighbors and the people who are going to the party, because you want to put a magnet in there, the trifold. You want them to put that magnet on the invitation on the refrigerator. When the party's over, they throw away the invitation. They keep your card or your business's card on the refrigerator forever.
Right.
So, their refrigerator is one of the best little black books or Rolodex, what's that called? The Rolo,
Rolo, the Rolodex. It's so old, so long ago. I had to dig deep for that. Yeah, Rolodex. Yeah.
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
Yeah, so one way to stand out is to be on their refrigerator, right?
That's great, by the way.
That's what a direct mail piece can do. And then,
Well, in the past, you've said, look, we have resources, time, money, and energy are resources.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like what you're saying is we're taking those, we're advertising, great, time, money, resource, but point that time, money, and resource and energy in advertising towards a specific group of people. Don't just blast it out to strangers. Go find be very intentional about who you're spending your resources on in the level of advertising.
Yeah. So a lot of times I talk about the resources being meat, right? MEET, right? And what's interesting is meat how do you meet people? Events, right? And meet is money, energy, effort, and time. And you're exactly right. Oh my gosh, with advertising and direct mail, you could be spending a lot of money, energy, effort, and time and getting nothing back. And many people have done this with farms and different, farms or geographic farms or demographic farms.
Yeah.
And they've gone, direct mail, and it's just like that. Honestly, it's really hard to stand out. Does it work? Can it work? Yeah, we hear about the lottery winners, right? I did farming. I sent out 2,000 postcards for 6 months. I was about ready to give up.
Yeah.
And then it worked. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, you got one and you spent $55,000, right? And it's just like, man, what if you could have got the one that month or the next month doing an event or partnering with the neighborhood to do the neighborhood garage sale?
Right. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Advertising has a place. It has a place. Good advertising for sure and we've also seen through advertising the generosity generation come to fruition, right? My problem was I was way too early with this. Like I saw it coming before anybody else did.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like I was winking in the dark, essentially, right? It's just like, it's coming. Now, all of a sudden, the light's on, and you got Hyundai, who didn't even have a car in their last ad. It was all about the people they donate to when you buy a car, right? And you've got Taco Bell is now doing not hiring one-on-one. They're doing career night parties at their Taco Bells for hiring, right? So they're doing events. Krispy Kreme is doing the donut donate, right? Donate for donuts. And so they're donating for every donut that they sell. And it's like all of that over the last 3 to 5 years it used to be I'm number one, right? My car, Ford F-150 is the number one truck, Dodge is number one. And it's like, all these different things used to be about, nobody cares about number one, right? They care about how much you care.
Yeah.
And, the old slogan was, we're number one, or I'm number one. And the new slogan for that's the ego era. The new slogan for the generosity generation is I am here to help. We are here to help.
Yeah.
Discover card.
Yeah.
Last ad didn't talk about an annual fee, didn't talk about their rates being lower. It said, listen, any credit question you have, whether you are a Discover card member or not, if you have a credit question, call us. We will not only do your credit for free, we will answer any questions you have on your credit.
Yeah.
We are here to help.
That's
right.
Good.
So there's a lot of examples out there.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it works, right?
Well, I love that. And I because I think there are some, the further you go up the communication pyramid, the harder it is to leverage time. I think like one-on-ones, you can only do, okay, that's fair. Yeah. I think with advertising, you can cast a wider net.
Yeah.
One ad can be, if you use Facebook ads, for example, you can run one ad to a 1 mile radius around an open house or a housewarming party, or you could upload your database that you've graded and run ads just to the database. And you do it you create the ad one time and you can let it run for a month.
That's right.
Depending on the kind of content that you
what's the ad though? Right. So you're right. You can do all that, but what's the ad, right?
Right. That's right.
And in my opinion, and this is, my opinion, it's my show, damn it. So I'm going to give my opinion. So my opinion is that it should be an invitation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You've already said that.
So open house, invitation. And I would make it like not, hey, we're having this house open 1 to 3 on Sunday. It's invitation to a personal, private showing preview at noon to 1 on Sunday. There will be food, drink. You get to look at it before even the public sees this home. You are invited because you are a neighbor.
That's so good. Yeah. That was a gem, Michael Maher. That was a gem right there.
Thank you.
That was really good. All right. Let me take, for the sake of time, let me take us up to the third rung of the pyramid then, which is social. What do you call it?
Electronic communication.
Electronic communication. I think immediately social media, but you tell me about that one for a second.
Right. Email fits in there. Social media fits. Anything internet fits in there. Right.
Yeah.
So electronic communication is, it's more powerful than advertising and direct mail, right? Email is cheap. You can send it out. People might actually read it. You can be extremely targeted with email.
Right.
And you can add attachments, right? So you can say more than you can say. With an ad, it's really hard to say more than you want to say.
Right.
And that's why QR codes were invented, and then QR codes died in a very ugly incident, right? So it's like, I mean, nobody was going to download a QR scanner to get whatever you wanted next, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're ugly. I mean, it's like could you imagine Apple having this beautiful white background? The phone is hovering in the air, and you've got this shadow behind it, and it's like, and then down the right corner, it has a QR code. It's like, no.
No that's funny.
Yeah. So electronic communication, great for lack of expense, right? It's very inexpensive. Still hard to stand out, right? Hard to stand out with an email, hard to stand out with social media. But you can, and the way to do that is by being real, genuine, authentic. And email is great for confirming, right? You were interested in our ad? Great. It's great for taking the relationship to the next level. And also it's great for follow-up, right? What you don't want to do is follow up with an ad, right? You would never do that, right? So notice that a person who we're emailing with is probably a closer relationship than somebody we're advertising to or direct mailing to, right? We've got more. There's a in today's world, a modicum of trust, right? We've got a little bit of trust. We got their email, right? So same thing with social media, right? They've got to be a friend or friend of friend or a part of a target market to get your information. So there's a commonality. There's a common interest there. There's a point of reference, if you will. And the problem is with electronic communication, you can do more damage to relationships than sometimes you can help. And, the wrong email, right? Let's say you have a relationship scale 1 to 10, 1 or 0 to 10. 0 is somebody you have never met, stranger. And a 10 is an ambassador, like your best, they speak highly of you and refer you monthly, right? So let's say you have a 5 relationship on that scale. It's easier to take that 5 to a 1 with a wrong email than it is to take that relationship from a 5 to a 6 with the right email, right? I mean, how many of us have ever sent a wrong email? Or how many of us have ever wanted to delete a comment on Facebook or delete a post on Facebook, right? So it's like, I mean, it's one of those where the beauty of social media is that the jerks have been exposed, but the really cool people have been exposed too. Just a really quick comment on that is I didn't really know this guy named Johnny in high school. I was in athletics. He really wasn't. He was more on the farm side. I think he actually had to go and work the farm after school, and we didn't interact much, but I knew him. And his name was Little Johnny, right? Little Johnny. And I mean, because he was always short. He was always very kind of quiet and that kind of thing. And he had a twin sister named Tammy. And, they hung out together a lot because they were close. And I think they had to do chores, things like that. But I didn't really know him. And I even graduated from high school. I knew him. I think, I don't know if we would have called each other friends, but we knew each other and kind of like, hey, Johnny, hey, Michael. And in the last 5 years, being Johnny's friend on Facebook, I have learned how much he is into self-improvement, how much he is into personal growth. And I've also seen that he grew 6 inches after high school, and it's no longer little Johnny. Now it's 6'2" Johnny. And it's just like, great that Facebook was out there because, I learned that this person has an abundant mindset and is a great guy. So yes, on social media, the jerks are being exposed. And I just saw the other day where, somebody had a really bad experience with a company and they let everybody know about it. That's the joy of social media, right?
Yeah.
So the way to use social media, in my opinion, is to create your own Facebook group and put everybody inside that Facebook group, right? So invite your friends, invite your clients, this is your community. This is your army. Toril calls it her tribe.
Yeah.
And Tara calls it her flock, right? So it's Oprah would call it like her family, right? So it's like that's one thing that I would definitely talk about with Facebook is create a Facebook group that none of the others have, right? I mean, Instagram really doesn't have it. LinkedIn really doesn't have it.
Right.
You could form a LinkedIn group, but it would be very business, very official. Facebook is kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
So you can invite everyone in and they can kind of let their hair down, and you can communicate with people in a Facebook group very powerfully and officially and friendly, and they can see each other.
Yeah.
Whereas
Like
an email that goes out to 200 people.
You've talked about that at with events, your people are talking to each other, and I think the same thing can happen inside of a Facebook group, right? Like
we want
they
them
get
to
to know
meet
each other.
That's right.
I think here's what first of all, I'm satisfied with this conversation. I'm happy. This scratches the itch I've had about like what are these bottom three? We don't talk about these. What are these? Are they valid? Are they good? But I think the takeaway for me is it's easy for people to get sidetracked by the tool called like Facebook or Instagram or direct mail. And what I'm hearing is like everything works, but it works better when you filter it through the generosity generation. If you take the principle of generosity and appreciation, right, and you start to think of how do I use this tool to enact generosity with the strategy I already have. I mean, if people are listening to this podcast, it's because they've in some ways adopted your perspective or approach. So it doesn't mean the tools are ineffective, but if you're going to use the tools, use it inside the strategy that you've adopted.
That's right. And that's the power of, we talk about this battle plan, the event-based business plan, right? The battle plan, having the events scheduled out for the year. And that's what's so beautiful about this is that all roads lead to the events. Okay. So all my communication devices, all my communication methods need to lead to the events. And then it's like, all right, what do you do for an event? You do an invitation. So your advertising looks like an invitation, which stands out. Everybody else is doing whatever they're doing. Yours is a beautiful invitation. It says you're invited. And it's like, why are you invited? And it says who's going to be there. And it's going to say when it is, what it is, and what they're going to learn or what they're going to get.
Right.
And then register, right? I mean, the online marketing world is basically everything filters to a landing page, and the landing page is an invitation for more, right?
Right.
So it's the same concept. I think it's just a little bit different way to look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the beautiful thing about the informational zone is that you can do lots of stuff with lots of people. The problem with the informational zone is that you're trying to do lots of stuff with a lot of people. I believe in quality over quantity. So focus on quality, right? If you're going to do an ad, do quality, do a really quality invitation. If you're going to do a direct mail piece, make it humongous, right? Your direct mail piece, 8.5 by 11 or bigger, right? Do jumbo or make it super, like, how much of a proponent I am for colored envelopes, right? Don't do a white envelope, but do like a really beautiful, I just got an invitation. You know what? I don't think I have it directly in but I got an invitation to a board of advisors that was like, you remember the movie The Secret?
Mm-hmm.
So it had like the brown and tan parchment, kind of that burnt brown. So that was the envelope. And then the back was rubber stamp, So it had had the emblem for his company.
Yeah.
And then you had to break the wax to open the envelope. That's a wow. I'm talking about it right now. Scott Edwards, California, lender, great invitation. And here's the cool thing. He invited me. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. He's in California. But it's like, you never know who's going to attend, right? You never know.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot of great execution thought there. But a colored envelope, if you're going to do direct mail, make it colored, make it pictorial, make it beautiful, make it stand out. So if you want to inform, confirm, or update, do it through the informational zone. If you want to sell, influence, or convince, do it in the influential zone at the top.
Another gem. Well, listen, I think that's a great place to wrap. If people have questions or comments about this, because I think a lot of people have questions around the information zone because it's so prevalent, and that's why your thing feels different and good.
Yeah.
How do people ask questions? Like, they just drop comments below here, or they?
Yeah. So podcast at referco.com is the best way.
Yeah.
Right? Podcast at referco.com. And, always go to referralspodcast.com. It's going to have all the information on how to reach us. And it's also going to have the free downloads that we have, right? For this, this is in my office, right? And this is the communication pyramid, and it goes on the wall, right? I mean, I noticed that, the logo's messing with it a little bit there, but there we go.
There you go.
So have this on your desk, have this in your office. And I will tell you, I promise you that you will stop trying to sell through email. You will not send the paperwork by email without getting on the phone as well, right? And that's the thing that will mess. I mean, how many people they sent the contract and the person disappeared, right? And it's like, because you tried to sell and close by email. Can't do it.
That is a message for our time, Michael. That is a message for our time. So, all right. Well, thank you for a great episode today. You guys can go to referralspodcast.com, grab the downloads and all the information you want to know about ReferCo and Referrals Podcast. Michael, until next time, take care.
That was awesome. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.